In 1907, the cities of Europe are vibrating with industry, railways, and the nervous energy of a continent in motion. But high in the Swiss Alps, the air is thin, and that frantic pace vanishes. Thomas Mann looked at this extreme altitude and saw the perfect environment to dissect the soul of a pre-war world. He sends his protagonist, Hans Castorp, to the Berghof Sanitarium in Davos. Castorp is an ordinary young engineer, a perfectly ordinary man, arriving for what he thinks is a brief 3-week visit to his cousin. But this innocuous arrival is a setup. Castorp is being placed in a hermetically sealed laboratory, a neutral test subject cut off from the historical currents of the flatlands. The sanitarium has its own gravity. The rarefied air and the community's total obsession with illness make the healthy world below seem crude and ruthless. The trap is sprung when a moist spot is found on Castorp's lung. The 3-week holiday becomes a 7-year confinement. Once a patient, objective time disappears. The linear ticking of the world below snaps into a hypnotic, circular loop. Years aren't measured by calendars, but by the repetitive rhythm of temperature checks and opulent meals. Castorp has slipped into a state of temporal paralysis. He is no longer capable of forming the thought of a return to the world below, waiting in a vacuum for a catalyst he cannot imagine. Within this vacuum, Castorp's mind becomes a blank slate. He is now exposed to a series of volatile intellectual reagents, each fighting for his soul. He is caught between Settembrini, a humanist who champions Enlightenment reason, and Nafta, a Jesuit scholar who defends radical totalitarianism and mysticism. While they argue, the patient Claudia Chauchat pulls him toward pure sensation. She links love with the decay of disease, tempting him to abandon intellect for the lure of the flesh. Finally, Mynheer Peeperkorn arrives, a man of such immense, raw vitality that the ideological debates of the others suddenly sound hollow and small. But none of these figures can cure him. Their extreme positions only deepen his paralysis, demonstrating that abstract ideology without action is just another form of decay. Even the medical science of the sanitarium is corrupted by the mountain's obsession. Technology here is used to blur the boundary between the living and the dead. Castorp finds a morbid joy in X-ray examinations. He gazes at the skeleton inside his own living body, fascinated by the image of his own mortality. This fascination extends to gramophones preserving dead voices and seances conducted by the staff to conjure spirits. Scientific progress becomes entangled with a seductive, self-destructive interest in death, turning the laboratory of the mind into a parlor game with the afterlife. Castorp eventually breaks his passive routine, skiing out into the high peaks, only to be caught in a blinding, deadly blizzard. Exhausted and numb, he collapses against a locked barn. In a deep, death-bound sleep, his mind finally breaks free of the sanitarium's influence. He sees a sun-drenched classical utopia. It is an earthly paradise populated by beautiful, serene people living in perfect harmony. But hidden deep inside the utopia's dark temple, the horrifying truth is revealed. 2 savage witches are actively dismembering a child. Castorp realizes that civilization is a fragile veneer built over a primitive, violent abyss. He concludes that for the sake of goodness, man must never let death have sovereignty over his thoughts. But the mountain is a powerful trap. Castorp survives the storm, but within hours of returning to his blankets and the dining hall, his realization fades. He slips back into his horizontal life. His ideological mentors fail too. Their arguments reach a dead end when Nafta shoots himself in a duel, proving that their words could never lead to life. The seal is finally shattered in August 1914. History rushes up the mountain in the form of World War I. Castorp is forced to descend. He trades his camel hair blankets for a military uniform, becoming just another anonymous number in the mobilization. We last see him marching through the mud and shrapnel of the flatlands, humming a song as he disappears into the chaos of the battlefield. Mann leaves us with a warning. Intellectual withdrawal cannot save us. If we refuse to engage with the world and take responsibility for our time, The violent march of history will eventually come to find us.